Good evening and welcome to the Board of Education of the Putnam Valley Central School District business meeting of May 18th, 2017. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. So, Mr. Cohen, I'm going to ask you to take number 1, the explanation of the 2017-18 Westchester Putnam School Board Association slate of officers and board of directors vote. Okay. If you don't mind.
I'm just going to start with a slight introduction to make sure we're all comfortable with those words. Westchester Putnam School Boards Association. It's a group that supplies leadership and guidance to all the school boards in Westchester and Putnam County, and we belong to it. It promotes effective school district organizations and use of our time. It facilitates communication among all the different districts. If I just want to talk to Lakeland, I can call Lakeland school board members. If I want to get it out to everybody or find out what everyone's doing, I go through them. They serve as a resource for public education. They try to get us things together. And the biggest thing they do for us, they advocate legislation. They actually go to the state and the federal government to find out what's going on, what the laws are, and they will help us understand them. So I don't have to read the giant law, I can read a brief summary. And then they give us some ideas on how we can either support the legislation or not. And the biggest thing they do is they believe in the education of all our children, and they supply tools for us to do that. Okay? And what we're doing tonight is our second board motion is they have a board of directors, which are made up of members from each of the school districts, and we'll be voting on them. They're running unopposed. There's a president, a vice president, a treasurer, and some board members, and we'll be voting on those people tonight. In addition, we'll be voting on their budget. It's not a very large budget, but it is a budget that we'll be voting on it tonight. It's approximately $266,000, and it's divided among the 17 to 19 districts that belong. And it covers various things. And the biggest source of revenue is the membership dues, which we each pay about anywhere up to close to $10,000. I forget exactly how much our district pays, but it's based on the size of the district. So it's a great organization that supports our students, and it's mainly our major lobbying group in the state.
And it also helps with purchasing. We have a lot of consortiums with them, so we save money in a lot of ways. So do we have to go through the slate now during the presentation conversation, or no, we'll do it during the resolution?
We can just read it during the resolution.
That's fine, okay. And Maureen, is it going to be a by vote? Like, is it unanimous,
No,
same vote? Okay, great. Okay.
So
Does anyone have anything? Hi, Mr. Bill. Sorry about the traffic. Does anyone have anything else you'd like to talk about or add to the BOCES conversation? Then,
It's not BOCES.
it says, I'm sorry, why am I losing my mind? Westchester Putnam School
BOCES
Boards
for boards,
Association.
essentially. It's a BOCES for boards.
It's a
I mean,
BOCES
it's a
for
co-
boards, kind of. It's a
It's a collaborative
conglomeration
operation.
of boards. You're right. I'm so very sorry. It's been a very long day.
Sorry.
I'd like to turn it over to someone who can save this meeting for me, Sarah, for the student representative report.
Been out of control so far?
So far.
You missed so much.
Sarah,
All
take
right.
it away.
So there have been quite a large number of musical achievements in the past week. I'll start off with the middle school bands and chorus concerts. They had them in the past couple of weeks, and there was even an appearance by Mr. Halsey, who directed the 7th grade band in some of their music. The concerts were great. Nice job for everyone. The middle school also put on their production of Shrek. The students worked very hard memorizing lines and rehearsing, so congratulations to all who were involved in that. We look forward to seeing some of you participate in the future high school productions as well. In the high school, the wind ensemble and concert band are preparing for their band concert, which is coming up very soon. They are working very hard to complete Tchaikovsky's 1812 Overture. The lengthy piece tells of Russian history victory over Napoleon, leading to the ultimate decline in Napoleon's power over all of Europe. The concert will be on May 31st at 7 p.m. Please attend. The Putnam Valley High School held NYSMA, a musical event this past Friday and Saturday. More than 1,000 students came through our doors, lugging behind them a variety of instruments. Each student prepared a challenging piece to be critiqued by an experienced judge. About 50 of the students from our high school alone participated. Congratulations to all who participated, and we also want to thank Ms. Kraus, the middle school band teacher, for organizing the event, and all the volunteers who helped run the event. Yet another musical achievement belongs to the cast and crew of Billy Elliot, this year's spring musical. They received Metro Theater Award nominations in 6 categories. James Capozito, playing Billy Elliot, was nominated for both actor in a leading role and dance performance. The chorus was also nominated, as well as the production number Solidarity. The choreographer, Jennifer Donis, was nominated as the choreography category, and both Lisa Tarrant and Ella Terragrossa were nominated for technical merit. Congratulations to all. Your hard work has been appreciated by many. The Guitar Club and music students made an exciting trip to the famous Martin Guitar Factory this past Tuesday. Students were given a full tour of the inside of the factory and learned a ton about guitar manufacturing. The students who went on the trip say they had a great time. In the area of scholastic achievement, many juniors were accepted and inducted into the National Honor Society just a couple of weeks ago. There are so many names that I don't have time to read off each one of them, but being inducted into this honor society is a great honor that should not be unmentioned. Congratulations to all that were inducted, and thank you for all your scholastic work. Last night, 2 more students were honored for their scholastic achievement. Class of 2017 valedictorian Mariana Silva and salutatorian Katoi Abe attended the 52nd annual Carol F. Johnson Scholastic Achievement Dinner. Congratulations to both girls on their hard work. And finally, for sports this year, we have 4 spring teams that made it to sectionals. The girls lacrosse team, boys lacrosse team, baseball, and softball teams are all playing in games this week. Good luck, athletes, and congratulations on your successful seasons.
It's a very long and busy report, Sarah. Thank you very much.
Great to hear all the recognitions.
Absolutely, and congratulations to all our students. You've been very busy this year and this spring.
Just a little clarification for people who don't know. When they mention NYSMA, New York State Music Association, it is a statewide organization that honors all the musicians in the school districts.
And our students often go. This is the
Yes.
first time we've hosted, I believe.
Yes.
So
Second.
Second? Thank you, Sam. Excellent. Do I have anyone for the PTA, PTSA to give a report? Okay. I know you've been as busy as the students, Dr. Will, so
Yes.
could you please
So-
give your superintendent's report?
Yes, I have to say that last evening, the scholarship dinner was really
It's my
just...
favorite night of the year.
It was lovely,
It really
and the
is.
speaker was pretty remarkable. She was the editor of the New York Times Book Review, which is pretty astounding position. And she gave a wonderful talk about how you should be able to open your mind and your life when you graduate from college and explore all the possibilities, all the possibilities. So last night, it was Ms. Rufo, myself, Ms. Intrieri, and Mariana and Katoi, and it was really a wonderful event. Every one of the high schools sends their valedictorian and salutatorian with the board president, this high school principal, and the superintendent, and it's quite it's impressive.
It's 4
very
counties.
impressive.
It's Westchester
Yeah,
County,
4
Putnam County,
counties,
Rockland
and
County, and
these
Dutchess
are
County.
students who've achieved a great deal, and they are recognized on that evening. There are also awards given out, and some, and students receive those awards. The first year, I think, that I went with our students, we did receive a scholarship award. That was one of the Terragrossa. I think it was Robin Terragrossa. So this is a wonderful evening that it makes you feel as an educator that you are able to have the opportunity to really congratulate and see the wonderful outcomes. And so many of our students have achieved, as we heard today, from Sarah when she talked about all of the students who were involved in the play. There were 80 students involved in that play, I believe, and look at what they've accomplished. So this is true throughout. Right over there on the side wall of this cafeteria, you'll see the work that was done by a geometry class, Mrs. Cefaloni's, and also Lisa Furlong's art sculpture class. And these were designed according to architectural standards. We had an architect in residence working with them. It's actually 3 architects in residence who come in and they work with the students, and these designs have a real world purpose. They are a creative approach to what a possible park and rec building or facility would look like. So it's their creative ideas. This is what it could look like if we were designing them, if the students were designing them. And they also have a survey going out to ask the students what they think should be the kind of activities that we should have at the park and rec facility and what that facility should look like. So it's very creative. It's very, but it's creative within the constraints of an architectural plan. So it's all done to scale. They learn how to build these models. And many of the students who are interested in engineering or thinking about the future, who don't know what they're really interested in, they do this and they suddenly see how geometry makes sense and what it's about. And if you look at one of the photos, in the background, if you go back to one of those photos, I'd like to point out something really exciting at the high school. No, not that one. It's one with the, right there. If you take a look and you look at the background, you'll see Nick Lenhard, our teacher, Mr. Lenhard, with his students from the Environmental Club digging the gardens. We're going to have community gardens at the high school. And we have them now also at the elementary school. So these are the kinds of things that really fulfill the educational mission of developing students in all ways with all of their possible talents, so they see the possibilities for their life. So what this speaker was saying last evening was, we have to be open to possibilities, and just having this chance to do this building can change someone's mind about what they might do for their future. And that's what education is. It's
Providing
opening up the
opportunities.
possibilities for students. I also wanted to mention, I wanted to thank the PTA actually for the fully funded trips they have been providing for our students, so that all students do not have to pay for these trips, for the transportation. 8th grade trip to the Half Moon Theater, where they saw Yours, Anne, which is an adaptation of the Anne Frank book. That was the 8th grade. The 6th grade is going to Hayden Planetarium, and this was one of our goals. We wanted to see our students travel to the city to experience some of the museums. The 6th grade is going there. We have the 7th grade are involved with poetry in residence from Hudson Highlands. And the 4th grade is also doing a week-long program around nature as a learning laboratory. And nature is the theme of the elementary school this year. And the outdoor classroom there is really quite wonderful. And this was actually created by some of our teachers who worked along with the elementary school to create this wonderful place for learning. So there are so many exciting things that we're doing. On a different note, Pat Bellino, I, and Mike Koenig, and Jill Figuerello were at the town hall this week looking at the presentation on Pudding Street overpass. And I'm always a little skeptical because I've been hearing so much about how long this is happening, but this is real. I mean, there were photographs, scale drawings. We saw how they intended to work out the schedule. The actual bidding process starts in June of 19, so it's not for a while. It takes a long time to do the planning for this, and to do all of the environmental work and the kinds of things that the eminent domain that will take place next year, where they're actually purchasing properties. But they feel that it will take a year. Once he starts, once he or she, the contractor starts, the work would be completed in a year. That would be 2020, at Labor Day 2020. So There will be some discomforts for the, and inconveniences for the people who live in that general area. There will have to be, but they're trying, they showed us how they're trying to minimize the detour. We had the EMS people there, the fire people there, you know, figure out how they're going to be available during those times. So I thought it was at the point where you started to see this is real. So I'm going to believe that.
Are you having
I
a
choose to
skeptical look,
believe
Mr.
it.
Spittle?
I choose to believe that it's real.
25 years later, we'll see.
No, I choose
Stay
to
open.
believe. I choose.
We're
we
changing
have to
our
stay
story.
open.
Stay open.
That's right. We're changing the narrative. I also today we also Jill and I also went to a shared services meeting at the county level with Mary Odell presiding, and the idea is that the governor has. And this is the second time this has happened. Actually, schools have been involved with the shared services model for a while. We do a lot through BOCES, but we had to provide a plan at one point to get our aid. At this meeting, Mary Odell was talking about the fact that the governor had mandated that counties create a shared services plan. And they had to invite schools and others to the, all other departments to the meeting. And you know, it's mainly a formulaic kind of approach, but it's important for us to be there and to show that we are supportive of the county's work. I also want to talk a little bit, just trying to make sure I cover everything. Oh, I wanted to mention something else. There was a wonderful article on peer mediation at the high school in the Recorder. And this is a terrific program that is started at the high school. And Mark Weiss, who is a member of our community here, actually has been working with the students to train peer mediators. And there's a small room in the office, in the high school office, where that is used for the peer mediations. It's been decorated. It's become a place where students can work out conflicts in a positive way. And again, what we're looking at are more approaches to conflict and to difficulty through talking things through skilled facilitation, and the students are learning how to do that. So that's very positive as well. I wanted to make sure I mentioned that. And I want to share with you some of the information that we're going to have on our website. On April 26th, Ms. Andrieri and I went to a national conference in D.C. On Later Start. There were well over 200 people there in attendance. They were from all over the country, as far away as California and Minnesota, a variety of more regional school districts, presenting their approach to Later Start, why they did it, and the people who came were not just from the educational world. They were the scientists who did the research on sleep, on, and I wanted to show you that on our website, we have placed the research that I gathered from this conference. We were given a memory stick with all of the presentations, all of the research, and it's all here for our public, for our community to see. So if you are interested in pursuing this information and looking at the work that we're doing and that we're working on still in the district, we urge you to take a look at this research. So I'm going to just a few of these I wanted to just show you so you could see what could be found. So for example, this research was done at Stanford at the School of Medicine, and this was done because Palo Alto, I know you may remember, but perhaps not, that they had a string of terrible suicides at Palo Alto. There were 5 students who killed themselves, and they were deeply searching as to why. And These were these were outstanding students, academic achievers. And what they discovered, to a great degree, was that many of them lacked sleep. They were so involved in their work and achievement that their mental health suffered. And the research was done by scientists with controls, and with a variety of surveys in order to see clearly how sleep affected the students. And some myths are debunked in this particular article. For example, we think that kids fall asleep because they're bored. That's wrong. Monotony does not cause sleepiness. Monotony does unmask sleepiness. They can catch up during the weekend. Wrong. Sleeping in does not make biological sense. You cannot make up 5 days of sleep deprivation in 2 days. What I heard at this conference that was so powerful to me was that you can never make up for the sleep that you've lost. Sleep is what gets your brain going. It is the recharging of a battery, and it affects your whole life. This is what really was powerful to me, and I felt very strongly that we needed to really hone in on this once again very, very closely, because what was very clear from the science was that sleep, the lack of sleep, affects not only your life as an adolescent, but your whole life, and your longevity is affected by the fact that you did not get sleep throughout your life, enough sleep. So, the idea that you can make up the sleep in a weekend, it isn't true. And then there is research on suicidality in adolescents. They did a number of studies that showed how this longer weekend oversleep and shorter weekday sleep duration predicted a higher SSI, suicide score. So this is pretty powerful research, and they have all the data is also in this, in the research that is here on the website. Teens on average may need at least 8 hours of sleep, but our children are not average. Wrong. They need 8 hours. So we have to rethink our whole approach to sleep and what students need and what we all need. Take the electronics away, they will fall asleep. That's a scapegoat for the sleep issue. So this was, I thought, an interesting presentation. The presenter filled in a lot of these statistics. How do you feel when you're away and your cell phone is only half charged? So the idea being, that kind of anxiety, that kind of concern and who you are is affected and by the lack of sleep. We should shift, then he talked about the fact of shifting start time for elementary schools and said that the younger students are really better able to move their bedtime forward to compensate for the earlier wake times needed to get to school compared to adolescents. He felt that there was no point to it because they adjust better. So Stanford has done a lot of work with the high schools in the Palo Alto area, and California has an extensive comprehensive sleep education campaign, their School Boards Association. That is one of the presentations. I wanted to show one more. So it's right on the front of the website. This one was on, this is on deficient sleep in teens, the impact on mood and risky behavior, and again goes through the mortality rates increase through the lack of sleep. It's pretty strong stuff, and I urge you to take a look yourself so that you can see. We have noticed, and when I talk to the regional superintendents, this is true throughout the region, that there is an increase in mental health problems in schools, in students. And we're seeing that is something that we have to pay very close attention to, and the lack of sleep is one of the major factors. And much of it comes from staying up with the phones late at night, not getting a proper sleep. So this is true with depression as well. So I urge you to take a look at these. They're very informative. The actual research is one of these presentations that actually has the research links so that you can go through it and actually link to the information. So we'll be doing more on this as we go along, but this is something we're not abandoning. We feel strongly that we need to move this up to one of our top-tier priorities.
And so my understanding, Dr. Wills, is we're going to sort of reconvene the committee and anyone else who is interested in being on the committee come the fall, because the reason we didn't go forward this year is there are many students and their families and faculty express concerns about how other things could be done, after-school activities, clubs, and we felt we didn't, transportation, after school, all sorts of things, and we felt we didn't have definitive answers, that it was a
And we
lot
want
of,
to
we have
provide
to
the
work it
answers.
out.
Yeah.
So we want to spend the fall really working it out. I want to say as a board, we are committed to the science and the research behind later sleep time. When I tell anyone that our students start class at 7:08, they look at me like I'm a war criminal. So like, it's just so ridiculously early.
What happened at the conference, I got up to ask a question. And the question I wanted to ask was, we can't go till 8:30. It's impossible for us. What would happen if we just went for one period, 40 minutes, if we could just get ahead by 40 minutes? First of all, they asked me what time we started. And I said 7:10. And they all heckled me. And Miss Intrieri was sitting there at the table watching this, and she even had a little video of the heckling because they said it's unconscionable and you're doing harm. And it was pretty powerful. And these were the scientists who were doing the research. And that 7:10 start time is...
Well, and if you look around the districts and look at other people's board meetings, they're all convening later start time committees. So we are going to be part of Section 1, part of a community of schools that are really working on moving later. So
I think when
we
we
are going to
meet,
be discussing it again.
when we do meet, I think it's very important that we have the answers.
Absolutely.
And that we give the committee the answers. In other words, we need to have worked on the way it would work so that people can ask questions about it. And things have to be done well in advance. We're certainly not going to be doing this next year, but we are hoping that we will be prepared for the following year. So, but it's something that we have to work on.
Right, without
together.
any loss to student opportunity. That was
Right.
something the board had said all along.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Okay.
And Dr. Wills, do you want to mention the read aloud, which I unfortunately could not
yes.
make on Monday, and I'm still a
Yes.
little disappointed about it?
Yes. So, the read aloud I brought with me
because it was so wonderful, as always. And I was in the 3rd grade class, Mrs. Bruno's class, and I brought a book with me that I really was really recommended by my daughter to me quite a while ago. She uses this. It's called What Do You Do with an Idea? And it's about a boy who has an idea, and the idea is made into a little gold, it looks like a little golden egg. And how do you implement it? What do you do with an idea? And at the end of the day, the students, what was wonderful is this book is written, is really from Japan, and the drawings are all by a Japanese artist. And the kids were studying Japan. I didn't realize that. So it really connected, and I had no idea they had just studied Japan, but it really connected. And what I loved, of course, we all, if you do read, you always get the book of thank you notes. And it was really lovely because the kids, when they were talking about an idea, because the idea is what could you develop? What idea could you have to change the world? And many of these ideas that the kids came up with at first were very concrete things. They were all kinds of robots and electronic things, and then, but they would be hard to do. I said, well, you know, there's something that you can do to change the world just in one moment. You can make a decision and you can change the world around you. And they all tried to come up with ideas, and we came up with the idea of that you could be kind to people around you. And they loved that. And they all wrote about it, and it was so beautiful. And one little girl actually said, "Thank you for coming, for being so kind to us. You have changed me." I mean, if that doesn't make my life all worthwhile to that moment, that
Now I
does.
feel even worse.
No, it is. It just gives you the most wonderful
No, I know.
feeling,
It's fabulous.
the most wonderful boost to hear from the students. So it is one of the community reads, one of the great opportunities that we have.
Not to
get know our
mention,
kids.
seeing, for the students, when we say community, it's not the school community. There's people from the town office, the sheriff's office, public works, libraries. So they're seeing their community come into their buildings. And we're always asked to share your life as a reader in addition to the story, so.
Exactly.
Which is always nice.
This year, Assistant DA Rao, a woman who attended our schools, was there.
Wow, okay.
So
So full circle.
pretty cool.
That's
What did you read, Mr. Cohen? Did you read a statistics book? Please tell me no.
No, I read two different books. The first book was written by a Putnam Valley student who graduated, Kathleen Magnoli. She wrote a whole series of books, 4 now. She just came out with a brand new one, Cat Girl. And
okay.
she couldn't come up this year. She had been up many years ago, and she's going to try to get here next year. So I read their books, and Catherine actually writes the book to Mrs. Moore's students. And then I read a book called Beaches' Dream, which takes place in Kenya. It's about a young lady who's an orphan. She's a little older than my second grade students that I read to. She's 13 years old, but it shows how she succeeds given what is happening around her. And what makes the book so interesting, and it's written by a newspaper reporter and a real photographer. So you're seeing real pictures of what it's like in Nairobi, Kenya slums. So, but I read Cat Girl, though, of Catherine, and she promised me she'll make it up next year.
Great.
Catherine's living in Florida now, and she's really happy, but she just came out with a 4th one.
I know the Cat Girl books. I did not realize she was a Putnam Valley graduate until this
Yes,
month.
yes.
Wow,
Catherine went, and she was in the wheelchair while she was here,
wow.
but she could not fly then. Cat Girl can fly when you get to the book.
And finally, we have to mention the AP Art Exhibition, which will be held on Wednesday, June 7th, from 5 to 7. And something to think about attending, because these students work on these portfolios throughout the year, and it's a wonderful project.
And I want to thank the students for our personal invitations. It's really very sweet. And I also receive here, we've been invited to the Maker Club celebration on May 31st. And can you see how incredibly cute this invitation is? So that's next week, I believe. So, okay. Celebrating all of our
Celebration time. It's
accomplishments.
graduation coming up, and
Okay. At this point, I'd like to ask if we have any public contribution
I
on.
think there's one other thing we should do.
Oh, go ahead.
There's a special person in the back. We have a new member of our district in the back, Officer Keith Blessing.
Oh,
Yes.
great.
He's joining us, and I think we should all welcome him, if you can get him on the camera.
Did we do that already? I think we might have done that already. We'll do it again. Welcome. And now, is there any, I'd like to invite any public contribution on any of the listed agenda items? And if there's none, we'll go right into new business. I'll ask you to start with number 1, Mr. Farrar.
Resolved by the, excuse me, resolved by the Board of Education to accept the final vote tally for the budget vote and board election held on May 16th, 2017 as follows. Proposition 1, budget, yes 513, no 162. Proposition 2, energy performance contract, yes 555, no 116. Board of Education, Joseph Ferraro, 517, write-ins 19.
Second.
Questions or comments?
Just one special thing. I'd like to thank 2 board members who did a little bit more than any board member has done in many years. So 2 board members did that extra thing, and the board members sit to me on the right, Sarah and Erin, They sent out an email to the community, and they also made a phone,
Yes.
they put out a phone thing. So I want to thank you and thank Erin for that extra, going that extra mile.
And I want to thank everyone who did come out and vote and supported the budget. I think I speak on behalf of all of the board members as well as the staff. Budgets are not entered into lightly. It is a tremendous amount of work. It is a tremendous, which I thank Jill and all her staff for, but it's also tremendous responsibility to spend the money of the community and to educate the community. So it is nothing we do lightly, and when we have a vote that supports the budget, we're grateful beyond words. So thank you very, very much for coming out. And Mr. Ferraro, welcome back again. Congratulations for your reelection.
And I think we
have
should
to
also
vote on
mention
it.
the...
Wait, we have to
And
vote on it,
this
yes.
is still the
This-
questions and comments part.
I think we should also mention that the energy performance contract, thank the community for voting for that. That you saved us $600,000, so thank you.
I just wanted to comment also and thank the community for listening and acting on the budget the way that they did. And I want to make sure I thank, and I know you did thank the staff, but the staff in the business office, you know, for their commitment and support to my success, our success as a school district, and, you know, all throughout the budget process and the whole year.
So all the things we talked about today, all of the exciting things that our students are doing could not occur without the community support. So we rely upon that support to give our students this opportunity.
And now, all in favor?
Aye.
Number 2, Mr. Smith?
Resolve to approve the WPSBA 2017-18 nominating committee's slate of officers and members of the Board of Directors as per document number 198/17, and the 2017-18 proposed budget as per document 199/17, and authorize the Board of Education President to sign the WPSBA annual meeting ballot, document and ballot attached to the agenda and official minutes of this meeting.
Second.
Questions or comments? And this is what we discussed earlier. All in favor? Aye. Number 3,
Resolved on recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools to accept the resignation of Joanne Papard from her position of teacher aide effective May 21st, 2017, as per document number 200/17, to be appointed to a 4-year probationary term as a teacher assistant commencing on May 22nd, 2017, and terminating on May 22nd, 2021, in the teaching assistant tenure area at an annual compensation of $32,800, step 11 of the CSEA salary schedule, prorated and in accordance with the PVCSD policy 9250. Ms. Papard holds teaching assistant level 1 certification.
Second.
questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Number 4,
Resolved on the recommendation of Superintendent of Schools to appoint Erin Keene to a 4-year probationary term as an elementary educational teacher commencing on September 1st, 2017, and terminating August 31st, 2021, in the tenure area of elementary at the elementary school on Step 2 Masters of the PVFT salary schedule, $65,869. Ms. Keene holds certification in childhood education 1 through 6, students with disabilities 1 through 6, and literacy 1 through 6.
Second.
questions or comments?
Yes, I'd like to note that Erin was with us this year in a leave replacement, and she was given kudos and great appreciation by the principal for the work that she did this year, and we're very pleased to have her come back.
A month ago, we had a meeting that was bittersweet when we congratulated all our retirees, but the flip side and the positive side is new young talent comes in. So I'm very happy to welcome her, and all in favor?
Aye.
You have to walk and shake hands.
Thank you. Hi, Erin. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you.
Okay. And number 5, we get to do that again.
Resolved on the recommendation of the superintendent of schools to appoint Leslie Castellanos to a 4-year probationary term as a teacher, commencing on September 1st, 2017, and terminating on August 31st, 2021, in the tenure area of elementary at the elementary school on Step 1 of the PVFT salary schedule. Ms. Castellanos holds certifications in childhood education 1 through 6, early childhood birth through 2nd grade, and initial certification in TESOL K through 12. In order to be eligible for appointment to tenure, said employee must receive at least 3 APPR ratings of effective or highly effective during the 4-year probationary term and may not receive an ineffective rating in the final year of probation.
Second.
Questions or comments?
We are very, very fortunate to have Leslie Castellanos joining us. I happened to be at her demo lesson, and I was very, very impressed with the way she interacted with the students. She also has this ENL certification, which means that she can have students in her classroom who have, English as a second language, and be able to run that classroom on her own, which is
And a growing need in our
yes, it's a
district.
growing need. And she did such a great job with the students the day that we were there. So congratulations, Ms. Castellanos.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Number 6. Who are we up to? Mr. Smith, I think? I've lost track.
Number 6. Resolved on recommendation of the superintendent of schools to appoint Jennifer Zeffi to a 1-year leave replacement position as a teacher at the elementary school effective September 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2018, or sooner at the discretion of the Board of Education on Step 1 MA of the PVFT salary schedule. Ms. Zeffi's appointment is contingent upon receipt of her certification prior to September 1st, 2017.
Second.
Questions or comments?
Yes, Ms. Zeffi wanted to make sure that the board knew that she couldn't come because she's at her graduation tonight from Manhattanville. And Ms. Zeffi was here as an apprentice from Manhattanville. Remember, we entered into that
That's right.
Manhattanville program where we contributed the $10,000 stipend for these students to come and work with our students, and we are able to see them teach. And we've had remarkable good fortune with the people who've come to us. I must commend Manhattanville for that and for the students they send to us, because she is truly another remarkable teacher that we were able to witness this year. So Jennifer will come to one of our next board meetings and meet you.
All in favor? Aye. Number 7.
Be it resolved upon the recommendation of Superintendent of Schools that the Board of Education hereby appoints Julia Coleman, Dorothy France, and Angela Methans, full-time teachers, to an additional .2 ENL assignments covering for a teacher who has resigned, a 6th assignment for each, effective May 19, 2017, for the remainder of the 2016-17 school year, with compensation in accordance with the PVFT contract prorated.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Number 8.
Well, they're in the audience, too. You want
Oh.
to recognize them. I wanted to embarrass you.
We'll
Thank
just
you for
wait.
stepping up,
Yeah.
guys.
Number 8.
Number 8.
Resolved on recommendation of Superintendent of Schools to approve the PVFT District Mentor Plan as per document 203/17, attached to the agenda and official minutes of this meeting.
Second.
Questions or comments?
Yes, I'd like to mention that first I want to thank Mr. Odell and Ms. Intrieri for taking on this project this year to review our mentor plan. Particularly this year, it's very important that we have a plan that is effective, since we have a number of new teachers coming on board who need the mentoring process. And what in reviewing the plan and revising it, they were looking particularly at the role of the mentor and making specific the responsibilities and duties of the mentor so that it was very clear how that would be fulfilled. And it's a one-year process. We also have all of the forms for the mentoring plan on our Google Classroom, which is really My Learning Plan, one of our programs. And Dana Lopez, I want to thank very much for her work. She has gotten to be so proficient in developing these forms.
Oh,
You want to say? You want to say?
You know, I think for us, just moving, when Dana really started a year before I did in HR, and then I came into HR, she really has just become so efficient and proficient in the use of Google and My Learning Plan in order to streamline a lot of the hiring process and retiring process. And so really it's just incredible what she's doing.
And this mentoring plan now,
So appreciated.
when you're a mentor, you would go on the Google document to record the time that you spent and how you worked with the mentee. And so everything is much more consistent. This is what we're trying to develop so that it is a process that everyone understands. And so there'll be mentor training, and that it also includes in the mentoring plan a suggested outline for an orientation. So for teacher orientation, and I think the whole process is a great partnership between the Teachers Association and the school district.
All in favor? Aye. Number 9.
Resolved on recommendation of Superintendent of Schools to add the following to the 2016-17 substitute listing: Rebecca Girardi, Christina Watson, Catherine Vandeveld.
Second.
Questions or comments?
I just want to make a comment that I'll be abstaining because one of those candidates is my daughter.
So, and I believe, are they all graduates or 2 of them? Well, it's nice that we're growing teachers, either way. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And 1 abstention. So noted. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda.
Resolved to approve consent agenda items 2 through 9 as appears on the consent agenda portion of the agenda.
Second.
Questions or comments?
We're approving CSE and CPSE placements. We're approving 1 additional person who had to work at the election on Tuesday. We're entering into a service contract with Southern Westshire BOCES, Board of Cooperative Education, in the Lower Hudson region for technology services. They will be supplying us, helping us buy things and giving us expertise in various technology services. We're approving with regrets and hopes and prayers additional bereavement days for one of our employees. We're accepting a generous donation of $200 from each of our unions for the elementary summer school reading program. We're approving athletic team merges for next year for the 2017-2018 school year. Varsity hockey merges with Lakeland, Walter Panis, Henry Hudson, and Haldane, and our modified wrestling program will be merging with Garrison and Haldane. We're entering into an instructional agreement with the Carafin School to provide special education services and programs for one of our students who has special needs.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. All right, at this point, I would like to open up to public contribution on any topic at all.
Prior to the meeting today, I attended the National Technical Honor Society induction ceremony and the Career and Technical Education Award ceremony at Putnam North and Westchester BOCES. 5 Putnam Valley young ladies were honored by getting inducted into the Honor Society. Elizabeth Lucia for architectural design, Alyssa Anderson for child development, Danielle Millay for fashion design and merchandising, Carly Carlson for New Vision Health, and Ashley Valentino for New Vision Health. So we had 5 young ladies who were honored and made their National Technology Honor Society. For people who aren't familiar with these BOCES tech programs, these students take regular courses in our district and technical courses over there. And they have to be doing well not only in the tech courses, but also in our own school district.
And these courses do lead to college, to their college and career, and they are very effective. They give them the skills that they can take with them when they move on to college or career. They're very, very powerful courses.
I just met with Kathy Ballestieri from Putnam Northern Westchester BOCES about creating some more opportunities for some of our students who, because of the skill level now that's required for a lot of the programs, we felt that there needed to be some pre-career and readiness. So we're working with BOCES, I'm working with BOCES, along with Melissa to create, and Laura Kildoff and guidance, to create some middle level courses before they even get to a full BOCES program. So it's very helpful.
One thing I wanted to add, and this is to both Natalie and Dr. Wills, and this is where I bring my other experience, my other hat in. I'm sure many people in the audience have heard of the Netflix series 13 Reasons Why. I know that Dr. Wills had sent out information from various associations, including the National Association of School Psychologists. I just, as a parent, a board member, a clinician myself, are our school counselors really well aware and making themselves available? And
they are. I actually attended an information session today, this morning, with 3 of our clinicians at BOCES on really bringing in a model of dialectical behavior therapy and more mindfulness, more the younger grades, to start to address some of these issues. K-12, it's certainly a growing issue, the rate of suicide, drug abuse, all of this, these scary topics, and that need to be addressed. I mean, we need to be out there in the front line, and I think our clinicians continue to make themselves available, continue to put resources together for families and for the staff. But it is a growing...
This is something we've been talking about a lot among our administrators, and as I mentioned, I was at a superintendent's regional meeting today, and all of the schools are struggling with this issue. One idea that I think would be a good one for us is to have part of our website a link to resources and the latest information. So there's another one of these social media pieces. It's called Blue Whale, which is several days toward 50 days, I think, toward committing suicide. And it's something that in some countries has been overwhelming in what's happened. So what we'd like to do is have a place on a website to alert parents to the kinds of what they can ask their students, what they can look for. And I'm going to ask the psychologist to help us just put that together so they can go. I know we have a parent resource piece, but I'd like it to be right up front as you go on the website to see the updates, constant updates of what's going on. Because social media changes all the time.
And this particular book has been out since 2007. It's actually a well-written book with a good message. I have used it with students a number of times, the 13 Reasons Why. It's now that the Netflix series, and as of course putting it on a screen and media has, to all parents, hold your guns, stand to your guns, watch it with your children. This is not something your 6th graders should be watching alone. And I think that that's part of what the school psychologists, the letters that you sent out, did send out. But I just wanted to publicly ask both of you that it is being discussed. Okay, great.
And there will be a second season, so there's more time to be prepared.
Right.
There's what is, second season?
Second season of this show. I haven't seen it yet. I plan on binge watching it if I can stand it. But again, I thought the book was wonderful, but I think that it's a cautionary conversation, so. Okay, is there anything else from anybody else on the board?
I had 2 things.
Okay.
I think we didn't say in some of the music stuff, I was reading an email from Mrs. Krause that we are once again named the best community for music education by the National Association of Music Merchants, so that's another something that's going on here.
I love that.
Another thing, I think I sent this email to, actually I think it was to Maureen. I remember back in the day having a leadership class in the high school. leadership and entrepreneurship. I guess you can combine the two together or not. Just seems that we're often trying to find opportunities for students to find positions of leadership, either through clubs or whatever they're, to self-direct. I think having training or taking a class, I do remember 800 years ago when I was at Lakeland, I was in, the only reason, Bill Maher's class.
Yes, Bob Marr.
Bob Maher's class in leadership.
Yes.
And it was one of my favorite classes, and it just seemed that it might be an avenue for an elective for a certain group of students that might work for.
Yeah, I taught that class with, Bob Marr was the principal when I was superintendent in Briarcliff, and he taught the class in the morning before school, and I also taught that class with him. It was a very fine class. And I think our freshman foundations starts the ball rolling with that, and it's usually taught to freshmen. And it could be something that we
I remember having
look
it as a
at.
senior, but that's,
We did it with
Yeah.
freshmen at that.
it's just something that seemed that, might fill a gap for certain students. Especially if they're looking for an elective that's not going to be incredibly, not to say, not going to be incredibly taxing, more
In terms of work.
in terms of
just
like
in terms
tons of hard work, but
thought-provoking.
it's interaction and probably will tie into community service and all that stuff too. So, and since I'm doing a lot of the now starting to look at colleges, I happened to visit Pace recently, and the big thing they were talking about was these student-created businesses
Yes.
that exist on campus,
My son-
and it just seems that somehow can translate to a younger audience, because you've already had a student create an app that we're using for our volunteer work and our campus community service. There might be, I think there's just possibly some connection that might be of value.
I know, I agree, that's a great idea.
Okay.
To piggyback on that, I'll give a shout out about the top community for music education. I'll give a shout out to the Guitar Club. Just a club, but it went down to the Martin Guitar Factory this week, and I just got a chance to go along, and what a great group of students. That's all I have to say. From start to finish, what a delightful group of students. And I can't say enough about the music program that gives this opportunity as a club, and the students just fantastic, just
There's
fantastic.
the Guitar Club and members of NISMA too, I believe.
Yeah, they invited along groups of NISMA as well, and other interested groups, but it was focused on the Guitar Club.
Absolutely.
So,
Okay, if there's nothing else and nothing from the public, at this point, I'd like to press on the right board, and I'd resolve to convene an executive session for one matter of pending litigation and 8 matters of the employment histories of 8 particular persons, after which time no further business will be conducted.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Good night, everyone.